Hey everyone, welcome to the show. So yesterday there was some big news. The Fulton Superior Court judge overseeing Donald Trump's Georgia case, Judge McAfee, Scott McAfee, he dismissed 6 of the counts against Donald Trump and some of his co-defendants. 3 of the 6 dismissed counts involved Trump himself, so Trump is still facing 10 felony charges. Doesn't mean he's off the hook. The judge made sure to write in his ruling, quote, "This does not mean the entire indictment is dismissed." And he left the door open for the prosecutor to refile the charges as long as they provide more details. He wrote that although the 6 counts contain, quote, "all the essential elements of the crimes," the indictment is written in a way that he said, quote, "they do not give the defendants enough information to prepare their defenses intelligently." Now, Judge McAfee's ruling also said, quote, "The court's concern is less that the state has failed to allege sufficient conduct of the defendants. In fact, it has alleged an abundance. However, the lack of detail concerning an essential legal element is, in the undersigned's opinion, fatal." So this decision affects Trump, as I mentioned, but also co-defendants Rudy Giuliani, John Eastman, Jenna Ellis, Mark Meadows, Ray Smith, and Bob Cheeley. So we'll see what the prosecutor decides to do, but some legal analysts are saying they should just let this go. They don't want any more delays in the trial. Here's the thing, though. There are people out there who are falsely stating this is a big setback for Fani Willis and for the prosecutor because this part of what these 3 crimes, these 3 charges involved that were dropped related to the call, that infamous call that Trump made to Brad Raffensperger, the Secretary of State, asking him to find him the 11,700 and some odd votes. Here's the thing, though. Legal analyst Lisa Rubin said that is not the case, even if Fani Willis decides to move forward without getting a new indictment for these charges that were dropped. She can still introduce the evidence of that call and of, other items involved in those 3 charges that were dropped against Trump or the other charges dropped against the other people. So it doesn't completely destroy her case. It's just for that specific crime, he is not going to be tried. He will not be, legally culpable, or the jury won't be making a decision on that specific crime. But she can still introduce that as evidence for the other crimes. And specifically, the RICO violation was not dropped. Now, one of the reasons why they may want to pursue a new indictment is because some of the people, I believe Mark Meadows was one of them, he is now left with only the RICO violation. So there are no other crimes against some of these people at this point. So you got one shot with the jury. If you can't prove that they violated the RICO statute, that's it. So we'll see what happens. I will keep an eye on it. I will definitely let you know. Next up is news about Trump's first criminal trial that begins in less than 2 weeks. March 25th, they start jury selection. So Trump's attorney, Todd Blanche, threatened District Attorney Alvin Bragg over his decision to call Michael Cohen as a witness. You guys all know Michael Cohen was Trump's fixer, his former attorney. So Blanche claims Cohen perjured himself during the New York fraud trial. Total BS. But anyway, according to Blanche, there's going to be legal consequences if you call him. I mean, Cohen is the primary witness. So yeah, of course they want to get rid of him. And so since the threat didn't work, now what they're going to do, Trump's team is reportedly planning to put the onus on Cohen and on other attorneys who were involved in this hush money transaction. So we'll see how that goes down with the jury. I mean, yeah, was Cohen an attorney at the time? Did he make a decision? Did he advise Trump? Yes, but guess what? Who did it benefit? So, and then speaking of a jury, Juan Merchan, the judge in this case, he ruled last week that the jury will remain anonymous throughout this trial. So Trump and his attorneys will know who the jurors are, but the judge said that the press and the public will not be given that information due to, quote, "a likelihood of bribery, jury tampering, or a physical injury or harassment of jurors." Think about that. Think about that for a minute. This isn't a trial for a mob boss. This is a trial for a former president of our country, and the judge and the prosecutor have to be worried about jury tampering or physical harm coming to the jurors. We cannot lose sight of how abnormal this is. And speaking of abnormal, a Trump advisor told Rolling Stone news outlet, Trump attorneys and aides are trying to, quote, prevent him from talking his way into a mess. So this is during this trial. They're apparently advising Trump to be quiet. They're trying to tell him don't start any drama like he did in the E. Jean Carroll case, like he did in the New York fraud trials. Rolling Stone reviewed a screenshot of messages that were sent between the aides and the attorneys. And apparently they've been discussing amongst themselves how to get Trump, like they're tag teaming him to get him to see reason. And another source told Rolling Stone that they recently used an argument with Trump that he needs to, quote, prove the media wrong. So they are tiptoeing all around him. And they're saying like, oh, don't give the haters anything to work with. But according to Rolling Stone sources, Trump hasn't been exactly receptive to all of this advice. And at some point, he must have gone and whined to his attorneys because his attorneys reached out to the aides and they were like, you know, you're upsetting him. You're upsetting the sir, the man baby. So anyway, I mean, the people around him are just, they're trying to help him. They're concerned about the likelihood of a conviction in this trial. Because remember, this is a criminal trial. This is not just huge financial judgments or anything. He could conceivably do prison time over this or jail time. He could, you know, at least get probation. So, you know, and with all the polling out there saying, oh, if he is convicted in a criminal trial, then I'm not going to vote for him. So there are real concerns. And even Fox regular attorney, Alan Dershowitz, he believes Trump is likely to be convicted in this case. Dershowitz told Rolling Stone, quote, the Trump team ought to assume that there is going to be a criminal conviction. It's a terrible case, in my opinion, but any first-year law student could win a prosecution against Trump in Manhattan. So they're going to have to assume that they're going to lose this case in front of a jury. Focus on the appeal, not the trial. So in that case, you don't have the client take the stand. I don't see what Donald Trump would really have to add in testimony. So I will absolutely be following that trial every single day for you and reporting back. Next up is news about another huge fine that Trump has been ordered to pay. Last week, a judge in London ordered Trump to pay just over $384,000 in US dollars to the intelligence company owned by former British spy Christopher Steele. As you guys probably remember, Steele had drafted that infamous dossier. It was used against Trump during the 2016 election. Well, Trump sued Steele's company in 2022 for some of the salacious claims that he made in the dossier, which have never been proven. And Trump later amended the complaint, and he sued Steele under some data protection law. So the judge ruled the law wasn't enacted until 2018, and the dossier was drafted in 2016. So the judge said, no, this law doesn't apply to this case. And then the judge also cited some sort of statute of limitations issue. And so they dismissed the case, the judge dismissed the case, and then she made sure that she noted she didn't consider or determine the validity of any of the information that was actually contained in the Steele dossier. So in total, Steele says he spent over 600 pounds on legal fees, but the judge is only asking for Trump to pay half, or telling Trump to pay half, at least for now. She said the matter has to go before a specialist judge, and then it could be amended. He could end up paying twice that much. And then a U.S. court also gave us some good news. On Friday of last week, a D.C. appeals court greenlit 3 civil cases against Trump. And these are all related to the Capitol attack. All of the 3 lawsuits were filed by police officers who were at the Capitol. And they each argue that Trump violated the 1871 Ku Klux Klan Act and that his actions led to their physical and emotional injuries. Now, in just one of these civil suits, Trump is accused of directing assault and battery, aiding and abetting assault and battery, inciting a riot, disorderly conduct, and civil conspiracy. So now that the appeals court has said that these cases are valid and they can move forward, this leaves the door wide open for more lawsuits like this against Trump. So whether by additional officers, people who were working in the Capitol that day, even Trump supporters, people who participated in the attack, if they're so inclined, they can go and file a lawsuit against Trump, and an appeals court has already said, yeah, this is legitimate. So we'll see what happens. But, Trump is now trying to halt all civil suits against him. He's saying that they need to be halted until his coup trial is over, which, of course, we all know Trump is trying to drag that case out as well, or to get it just outright dismissed. So, everything could just be in limbo. Now, the good news is the civil cases would not go away if he becomes president again, God forbid. But, are the courts going to let them sue him while he's a sitting president? No, because we've already been down this road. So anyway, this is just sickening. All right, I will let you know what I hear next. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Please donate if you can. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.